Alright, what is up, guys? So, today I kind of want to talk about, because, I mean, obviously, my recent videos, I've been talking a lot about, like, next wipe, what is there to look forward to, all that type of stuff. Also, there's no audio, on the footage on screen, it's just me, like, playing unique arenas, because, as somebody so, thankfully pointed out on the last video, it was literally just me yapping, which is exactly what the video was. That's what it's intended to be. I don't think it was ever supposed to be anything else, but, I'll throw some gameplay up just so, you have something to look at. Although I probably shouldn't watch it because it's gonna. I mean, I get like distracted watching it because I start watching my gameplay and I'm like, man, I'm good. But that's beside the point. Basically though, what I wanted to talk about going forward to the next wipe is, so I'm sure some of you guys actually might not know this because they didn't talk about this like a ton. They haven't really announced it anywhere or anything like that. Well, I mean, that's when I say they haven't announced it, as in like they haven't said like on their Twitter or in like the Dark and Darker Discord or anything like that. But on a Q&A they did a little while ago, SDF and Grayson, they mentioned what they're gonna do for next wipe. One of the things is at the start of the wipe they're gonna do not SSF but SF, which is self-found. Basically, the marketplace and the trading post is not gonna be enabled for. SDF said the first month. Probably will not be that long. I could see it being the first week, maybe the first two, but if it's any longer than that, I would be pretty surprised. I really, really don't see it being a month. While I think being a month would be fun, I would be pretty surprised if it ended up actually being, you know, a full month, because that would be a third of the wipe where you just can't use, marketplace or trading post. And for some players, that's fine, but obviously for a lot, that is not something they're gonna want to deal with, because then then getting gear for other characters that you're not, or getting like good gear becomes kind of difficult. Gear that you have no use for becomes basically useless, because I mean your best bet is like, oh, you can give it to your friends or stuff like that. But other than that, like, it's pretty much just, I just vendor this because I have no use for it, and that's for an entire month. And obviously, like I said, I think the large majority of the player base doesn't play the game for but for about a month. So by the time that's actually back, then they wouldn't even have like used to that. Maybe it makes people quit sooner. Maybe it makes people play longer. And or they quit whenever the market is bad. Who knows? Really, it's hard to say. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out in case any of you guys didn't know that was even a thing. So well, now you do. Not like you can exactly plan for it, but what I'm gonna say is basically, not telling you how to plan for it, but just to take, I won't say take advantage of it, but basically, just start thinking of things there are to do going forward to this wipe. So, just to start off with, like, if you have no idea what is self-found, basically, you guys know how Arena works, where you can only bring in the gear you found. It's kind of in that same strain where you can only get gear that you find in the dungeon. You can't get gear anywhere. I mean, you can gobble a merchant or buy from merchant, stuff like that, but you can't like go buy it off the market. You can't have people trade it to you, because they did clarify, because we asked this, there will be no marketplace or trading post, so there will be no trading between people. You will only be able to move stuff between your characters, or if you really, really want to, what you'll have to do is you'll have to go into a game, have somebody drop you an item, and then leave, right? Which, yes, you could do, and yes, people will do that. However, it's risky, obviously, because, you could die doing that, right? Like, and then you just lose the item entirely. Which I think a big thing is, like, or that's, like, a big reason that, like, RMT is not going to be a thing as long as it's happening, basically. But anyways, so, like, what exactly, like, I mean, for one, like, why are they doing this, really? I think a big reason is a lot of people, I mean, for one, a lot of people have wanted it for a while, right? I think this has definitely been, I'm not going to say it's been like the majority of people have wanted it, but it's definitely been an idea that's been talked about. And if you guys are in the community, seriously, Soapy has done a lot of SSF tourneys that get a lot of hype, and a lot of people enjoy watching them. And those are only for, like a day or two max. And it's very short term, and it's only like, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 people doing it. And instead, it'll be on a scale that's much, much larger. And I've talked about SSF stuff before where, instead of like it being like an entire thing, they do like a little side thing, maybe at the end of the wipe or something like that. But no, they just decided they're going to do the entire thing. And like I was saying, basically, I don't know like how this is going to end up being overall for the game. I don't know if people are going to like it. I don't know if people are going to hate it. But it is going to be a thing. And I do think, I think on one hand, a lot of people will like it because it's definitely going to put you on a lot more even ground when it comes to fighting. Because like I mean, like I'm not going to sit here and say people don't have an advantage, right? Because if I sit here and play 40 hours a week and you play 4 hours a week, obviously my gear is going to be much better than yours because I've had time to loot and find stuff that's a lot better than yours. With that being said, though, it's not like after that 40 hours, I can go buy several full BIS kits over and over and over. Which is one thing that I was gonna, say is with them doing this, dying is gonna be a lot more impactful now. It's gonna be really, really big. And the reason being is, well, one, you can only store a limited amount of items, right? Which, I mean, pretty much everybody's gonna have, like, inventories full of gear. And here, let me skip forward of this really quick so you guys don't have to, like, watch this. Watch me sitting here doing nothing. This is a rogue game. It was a terrible rogue game. We're going back to fighter. Alright, there we go. Okay, there you go. And like I said, or like everybody's gonna be trying to stack up a ton of gear because that's gonna be like the big thing, right? Like you're not gonna be like, questing isn't gonna be super important. Like it will be important to a certain extent, but it's not gonna be crazy important because you can't like buy and sell materials, which is like the big thing. A lot of people make their gold off of buying and selling materials, and that's something else I need to talk about. It's like gold just isn't going to have the value it normally does. But anyways, back to what I was talking about, like the dying. Like there is every possibility that you could go in and you genuinely like if you die like 4 or 5 times, like you are going from like really good purple gear to just like you're in terrible gear. Like you could be in greens, right? Like your gear could be purely like just terrible just off of the fact that you've died a lot because like I said, you can't just never right now you die like, oh, that's unlucky, I go to the market, I buy gear back because there's an infinite supply of gear on the market. Well, I mean, like relatively infinite for what I'm saying. Obviously, it could all be bought out, but that's never going to happen. But you can't do that anymore. You're only one person. The only gear you have is the gear you have stored in your stash. And like I said, you could very, very die and run out of that, which sets an interesting it's definitely interesting for a lot of players because it's just like an entire change to the dynamic of the way the game is played. Also, obviously, for the same obvious reasons, is that's going to drastically lower the quality of gear that is being ran. Like, I think right now, because especially, the loot is very good. Like, the quality of loot you get is very, very good. So I'd say, 1, 2, 3 days tops into the wipe, most people are already in. Well, most people, I say as in most HR trios players or solos or duos, right, are in very, very good gear already. And the reason for that is because even if they are dying, they're making a ton of money. So like I said, they can just buy that gear back, which is like what I mentioned before. But now, you're not going to be able to do that. And every piece of gear is going to be way, way more important because those really good pieces, you can't get them back when you die. You can't buy them back. You're going to have to just, work with what you have. So seeing people run like good blues and stuff like that or bad purples is going to be way, way more common than it ever has been in the past. Even, a week into the wipe. Like, obviously, there are going to be people running good purple. Like, there are going to be people still running BIS purples, legendaries, just because they're not going to be dying. But the majority isn't going to be doing that, which is partly why I'm not sure how this is going to fly over with people. Because, like I said, this isn't like a thing you can opt in. It's not just an HR thing. This is just going to be the game for like 2 weeks. And, if you play 0 to 24 gear score, you're probably not really going to care, right? Because you don't buy shit off the market anyways. Maybe you buy like a green pendant or something, but for the most part, you're not really going to care about stuff like that. But for the people that are playing, like either 224s, even 124s, like you can't buy stuff anymore. You're just going to have to save it up. And if you get put in that point where, oh, I've lost everything, I have nothing left, like, are you going to want to keep playing? Because I think there are definitely some players that wouldn't. I can already, listen, I would just be completely transparent. I know there are a lot of HR players at RMT. That's just a fact. I mean, you'd have to be dumb to, like, disagree with that. There are a lot of HR players at RMT. And those players, like, if you ask them, like, okay, well, you lost all your stuff, now you just have to play, like, now you have to start over from, like, base kit again, they're not going to do it. They're just going to stop playing until the marketplace is back, and then they're just going to RMT, which is what I think a lot of people are going to end up doing that are, like, those RMTers and stuff. But that's not, like, super relevant to this conversation. That's just, like, obviously, like, that's like saying, like, about cheaters, right? Like, cheaters are always going to cheat. It's what they're going to do. Like, they're never going to play on fair grounds or what they think is, fair grounds, stuff like that. But anyways, honestly, I don't even know where I'm going at this point. I'm kind of just rambling about this whole concept, and I'm sure you guys have realized this too, and I'm sure some people don't like this, some people do. I don't know. Not my problem. I'm just gonna be yapping for a while. I still got plenty of yap in me. Like I'll say it, I haven't had a good old like yap father yap session in a minute. Like it's been quite tame recently. So, this is like one of those, like, you're on the treadmill, you throw this on in the background, nothing's going on, like, you're cleaning something. Yeah, like this is one of those. But anyways, back to what I was saying, or whatever I was saying, because not back to it, because I don't know where I am right now. But anyways, so self-found. I mean, just at a face value, I think it's going to be fun, right? Like, I think it's going to be a very novel experience for the game because it's not going to be something we've ever had before. Whether or not it's good or bad, I mean, that's going to be subjective. It's going to be to each person's interpretation of, whether or not they like it, right? It's just going to be opinion based. However, I think this is cool for them to try because a lot of games, think like Path of Exile or Diablo, whenever they come out, oh my god, flashbang warning, by the way. Whenever they come out with these, like, new leagues or new seasons or whatever, there's always something new in the game that's like, okay, this is why you come back to play it this season. Okay, this is the new mechanic. This is the new league mechanic. This is why you come to play. And Dark and Darker doesn't really have that. Like, yes, usually they add new content each season. However, not always. And, if you watched my video yesterday, you know that I was talking about the fact that they're not really adding anything next wipe. We're getting the PvE mode. That's pretty much it. All right, let me go to the next fight really quick, guys. Oh, there you go. They're adding the PvE mode, which, that's pretty much it. So this is definitely going to be some, like, interesting level. And I think it's kind of dumb they haven't, like, said this. Like, I think this should definitely be something they're, like, hyping up, like, oh yeah, self-found. Unless they're just not even, like, confirmed or doing it. Like, I could make this entire video yap for half an hour and then they just, like, don't even do this and I'm just an idiot, right? Like, that's a possibility. I mean, and, by SDF, he'll do anything. But anyways, but I think this is something they've never done before that could bring people to play it, that could bring people to play and want to try something new, just because it's going to be really cool, and potentially really, really fun. Because, like I said, yes, like, you are going to have there's going to be a very, very large disparity between the people that are never dying and the people that are always dying. But there's also going to be a very, very wide mid-ground of the people that are, like, they're, like, living sometimes and dying sometimes, where their gear is very, like, average. And I know a lot of people, like, talk about gear diff in this game, but however, like, when the gear diff is only, like, I think in really big gaps. Like, if you have, like, I don't know, like, bad blues to, like, bis purples / like, really good legendaries, that's gonna be where your gear gap's noticeable. If you're in decent purples compared to decent blues, like, bro, it's basically non-existent at that point, right? Like, if I take like a bis 224 kit and then go into high roller trios, like, if I'm not fighting people in literal, like, perfect kits, like, I don't care. Like, my kit's, like, plenty fine. Also, for Kidney just explosioned me in that clip. Get this motherfucker off, Wizard. By the way, that Poshy Pop Wiz guy, that's Kidney Pounder. That is not Poshy Pop. He is not playing this game. Poshy Pop has quit on this game forever. But anyways, so, like, the gear gap won't be that bad, and for the entirety of SSF, it will be, I think, pretty fun, because you're going to be fighting a lot of people on even ground, which, like I said, isn't something that you normally do. Most people that are going to play more than you are just going to spin their, they're going to make a lot of gold. Even if they're dying, they're going to make gold, they're going to build a bunch of better kits. And like I said, that's going to be the big thing. Because, like, let's say you only play for a couple hours, right? As long as you don't die in those few hours, like, your kit's going to get pretty good. And just because people play, 3-4 times more than you, that doesn't necessarily mean their gear is going to be a lot better, because what if they're dying a bunch? Like, they could play, 3 times your playtime and end up having worse gear than you as long as you're not dying. Because they, like, even if they're, making gold, they don't really have anywhere to spend that gold to get their, to make their gear much better. So they don't have that advantage they normally would, which that's the advantage of this game, or that's the way to get advantage of this game, is make a bunch of gold, get rich, pretty much, right? I mean, you've seen it many times. I've talked about it. I've made plenty of videos on it. I've done it myself. Literally, at the beginning of this wipe, I farmed Spectral Knight for, like, the first week on Bard, and I farmed out, unironically, I would say, somewhere. Oh, by the way, right here, I was an idiot in this clip. I thought they killed the wizard, so I'm just, like, sitting here trying to parry farm this guy. And, or I thought they killed the ranger. I'm trying to parry farm this guy, and the ranger's just shooting me in my side. It's pretty funny. But anyways, I farmed Spectral Knight, and I, like, made, I mean, just raw gold, I probably made somewhere close to 100,000, and then I bought investments that ended up being worth, like, easily, like, 1 million plus gold by, like, mid to late wipe. And, like, the stuff like that, right? Like, investing in items like that, that is a big part of this game, because the economy is, like, where you get most of your gear from. Like, if you're money's if you have a lot of gold, you can buy the best gear. It doesn't matter how much you die, which is, I mean, kind of like the whole logic behind RMTing, to be fair. But that's, yeah, obviously, a different thing. But with self-found, that's not going to be the case, because it doesn't matter how much gold you have, you can't spend it on anything, which I do think is going to be a bit of an issue, and I think a lot of people aren't going to like. But on one hand, it's like, oh, I have nothing to spend my gold on. What am I gonna do? But like then you have to consider, it's like, how much gold are you really gonna have, right? Because you can't sell anything on the market. Also, look at Breakthrough, man. I hate this. Or look at Nepal, and I hate that knockback. But you can't sell anything on the market, which is where usually a large amount of people's gold comes from. It's you sell everything on the market, or to other players, and that's where you make all your money. However, without access to that, it's like your only way of making gold really is just by vendoring stuff effectively, and there's like a limit to how much gold you can really make vendoring items. So you're not going to have as much of a gold problem as you might think. With that being said, whenever self-found is gone, you're going to see a ginormous shift in the market, because a lot of things are just going to like start getting sold, because like artifacts, not like quest items, but like like ore crafting items, stuff like that, like all of that is just going to start getting sold. And like people are going to be spending a ton of money, a ton of gold on that. And that's one thing I think is like whenever it first comes out, this is going to be where the giant advantage is. Whenever it first comes out, what's going to end up happening is the people that did farm a ton of gold, because just like doing whatever, like hitting gold piles, stuff like that. The people that did farm a ton of gold, or the people that farmed a ton of crafting mats and stored them all up, they're going to like either sell them off, or people are going to buy a ton of crafting mats, and they're going to get really, really rich really, really fast. So while you may not have a giant advantage, during the self-found mode, after the self-found mode comes out, like, yeah, you're going to see, like, a very big change, I think, in that. However, that will be, I mean, that's just that kind of the inevitable, like, the rich will always get richer. That's just how it works. If you're smart in this game, you can always make your gold. But anyways, so for self-found, something I did want to talk about was kind of want to give, like, some, I don't, actually, no, I'll probably save, like, I'll probably do another video where I, like, focus, like, specifically on self-found next wipe and like what I think you should do, like tips and stuff like that, because I don't really want to get in that. That's good Pepsi. I don't really want to get in that in this video, because I feel like I've like yapped about so much random stuff that like most people that want that type of information probably aren't here. If you're still listening to this point, you're probably just an idiot. Disrespectfully, just kidding, respectfully. But like you're probably just like listening to me yap doing something. So like you're probably not gonna need that, right? But if you are looking for that, I'll probably put out another video right whenever after, like the day after this one goes live, or 2 days or something, or whatever. But oh, I think I should. Well, I think I should on this fighter. Check this shit out. Oh, bro, this guy gets cooked hard. Yeah, I blocked him like twice. Boom. But anyways, I'm excited for self-found. I mean, I think a lot of people are. I think it's going to be a really nice change of pace. I hope it's longer than it is shorter. Like I would much prefer it to be 2, 3, 4 weeks rather than one. And I don't really think they're going to do that. Also, bro, I thought I had my buckler out there, and I tried to parry the arrow like an idiot. But I think the longer it is, the more fun it'll be, and I think a lot of people will like it. And I think this definitely, like, if this is, like, well responded to, I think this opens up potential for them to do it again in the future, or even other things. Like, I think, one big thing is a lot of people have asked for is, like, end of wipe, have uniques, like, have a, like, 100% drop rate. So, like, every boss drops a unique, stuff like that. So you always have a chance to use them. And unique arenas is kind of like, in that ballpark of like you just get to use uniques as much as you want. You have to have them obviously, but if you do, then you get to use them as much as you want. And well, unique arenas I don't think is particularly fun, just because most of the uniques are OP and everybody's running pulverizing prayer and I get 3-tapped, or like pestilence or Nepalin and I just hate my life, which people do. It's certainly an interesting thing, it like allows people to like try some stuff they maybe haven't before, which is always good. I think like allowing people to use your content they normally wouldn't get access to is like a fun thing that most people get to try at least once, because it kind of gives them something to work towards, right? Like one of my best memories of this game is it was playtest 5. It was literally the last game before the servers went down for the end of playtest 5. And I don't know how long some of you guys have been playing. Maybe you've been playing longer than me. Maybe haven't been playing quite or maybe haven't been playing longer than you. Who knows? But I'm sure everybody has like that one moment that's really hooked on this game. Just for, context, I've been playing since playtest 3. I probably played less than 10 hours playtest 3. Playtest 4, I probably played about 20, and then playtest 5, I played a ton. But, playtest 5, the very last game, I was against, Azadim, Narek, and Narcissus. when we loaded up in lobby, and Narc had his famine, life after death, and Narcissus had a cinder on. And I mean, I was playing fighter this time. This is back when I was playing halberd fighter because obviously I was an Orlanthi fan. And I remember we killed them because Azdim left the game. So it was really, we 3v2'd them, right? Because Azdim like left the game to get screenshots for leaderboards back in the day. I mean, that's something else. But we killed them, and I picked up the cinder and I equipped it. And like I held it in my hand and I saw like, the glowing halberd, and I killed a mob with it. And then right after I killed the mob, boom, servers went down. And like in that moment, I was like, I have to get me another one of these. And it's just like, I mean, I think everybody has that one moment that's just like, yeah, this game is amazing. Like I'm hooked on this. And I remember that was definitely mine. Which is, I know this is so far removed from anything about the self-found wipe, but anyways, I don't really care. I just kind of want to type. Honestly, there's a chance I don't even upload this. I just want to talk, but honestly, there's a chance I don't even upload this video because it's just like complete random rambling bullshit. But anyways, yeah, like, but getting back to the original point of like having these events that allow people to use items they normally wouldn't, because a lot of players, I mean, to be fair, I think they should have announced this way earlier in the wipe, but a lot of players, if they get an artifact, what do? They sell it. And this isn't even like, like I don't even mean like, like Timmy's. Like I do the same thing because it's not worth it, right? Like it's running artifacts generally just is not worth it. Like, I mean, obviously if you're like a gold millionaire, you can do whatever you want. But for even your average player or your HR Trios player, like, the top 1% of players, it's just not worth it to run because the amount of gold that, you spend on, or the amount of gold you could sell an artifact for is so much higher than... Alright, bro, look at this. Look at this ranger kiting me. So fun. Yeah, guys, I think without b-hopping, right? I think without b-hopping, these range classes are dead. But anyways, the amount of gold you could sell an item for, like, if you compare it to, like, okay, let's say, like, I get a Fulgore, for example, which obviously is, like, a crazy example. But let's say I get a Fulgore. If I want to run that Fulgore, I am running an item that is worth 10 plus literal biscuits. I mean, not full unique bits, but like legendary bits. Because Fulgore, even right now, I think, is like 600,000 gold, right? If I build a 60,000 gold kit, I could build 10 of them for the price of one item. So, like, is Fulgore really cool? Yeah, it's super sick. I don't think many people would disagree with that. It's really, really cool. But it's not worth that much, right? Like, it's not worth 10 biscuits. Like, biscuits. It's not worth 10, like, literal kits for me to use. And this is, like, for me, and I mean, I would consider myself, like, like, the top 0.0001% of players of thinking this. But, like, imagine, like, your Timmys, right? Like, I say Timmys, like... Maybe not even the Timmys. Imagine like your 224 gear score players. Here, one second. Let me skip to the next one. Oh, I skipped way too far. Imagine like, your 224 gear score players that drop an artifact that have never had more than, 10, 15,000 gold in their stash at any one time. And they get an item worth $500,000. It's like, are they expected to run this? It's like, no, it'd be stupid for them to. So what do they, I mean, for one, because they're probably going to die with it like their first game, right? Because running an artifact just makes sure the quality of your game's terrible. Everyone that's run artifacts actually knows that. But mostly what they're going to do is end up selling it. However, if with this event, you can use them, and you don't have to worry about losing them, which I think is literally the best part of it. It's like you could take all these items in that you normally would never, ever get a chance to use, and run them. Like, literally, for me, like, even me, like, like I said, like, one of those top 0.00001% of players, I've used Fulgore more in the past day than I have at any, like, ever. Ever. Because I was able to use it in arenas. Oh, so look at that parry. Clean. I messed up the second one, though. But I am cooking here. Bro, God, Fulgore is so cool, man. This is such a cool weapon. Get in there, get a famine on this guy. Blocked. Farmed. Okay. But like, yeah, like Fulgore is like such a cool weapon, and it's so fun to use. And I think like especially the first time using an artifact is one of the most fun things that you can do in Dark and Darker. Like the first time you hold a Cinder, or the first time you hold a Fulgore, or whatever, it's literally like one of the best experiences you can have. And most people are never going to have that experience because they're scared to run them, which is just like, it's justifiably so. Like, I don't blame them for being scared. And on one hand, you could be like, oh, well, it's, it's the game's fault fault. It's the game's fault that the items are worth so much. Like they shouldn't be as rare, then more people can use them. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you could say that. However, them being rare is part of the reason they're so fun, right? If they weren't as rare, then they wouldn't be as fun to use because like it's the rarity factor. It's like you play like a MMO and you drop like a legendary item. It's like, oh my god, like that's sick. Like it's exciting because it's rare. I mean, yeah, it's really cool, but if you ran into Fulgore every other game, it wouldn't nearly be as fun, right? Like it just wouldn't. That's the obvious thing. But like I said, adding an event like this that allows people to use them, or even adding a different one that would allow more people to use them, where they could do things like you said, like it's 100% boss drop rate. Like it's very cool, and this self-found mode coming up as well. It's like these are very interesting things that would bring players to the game to allow them to play, which is why I think even the unique arena, like I genuinely like maybe they should have just given everybody like one copy of an artifact. Like I don't know how you would have done that, but something like that would be really cool. Like you just give everybody an artifact they could use, rather than it just being like, oh, okay, well if you have one, you do it, or if you can afford one, then you can run it, which is obviously what it is. And like this isn't perfect, but I definitely do think it's a really good start. And once again, I'm so far removed from talking about self-found at this point that it's like just actually kind of funny. But anyways, going back to the self-found thing maybe here in a second if I can think of something to say about it. I'm excited for it. Like I said before, I am very excited for it. I'm sure a lot of other people are as well. It's gonna be fun, really. Like I don't know if there's anything left for me to say about it. It's gonna be fun. I do think I do think one thing that will be really cool is like a lot of people that find artifacts early on are going to be running them. I mean, definitely like some people will just save them for next, like I say next wipe, for like whenever they're sellable. But I do think a lot of people are also just gonna run them because, I mean, hey, why not, right? Like you have it, you can't do anything else with it. Like you might as well. Also, look at this. I farm. Or wait, I think I farmed these guys. Yeah, ding, farmed. But like yeah, like why not use it? You have it. And you can't sell it anytime soon. Like yeah, you could definitely hold it for a month. But one of the things, you don't even know how much it's gonna be worth. You don't know how much like people because that's the thing. Like after the month ends or however long, like there's gonna be a ton of them flooding the market. You have no idea the price. So honestly, it might just be worth it. Just have fun and run it. And I'm excited for that. Also, one other thing that I actually kind of forgot to mention is they did say that at the start of next wipe, I'm pretty sure they're going to lower the quality of gear dropping, which I'm excited for. I know a lot of people don't really don't want that, but I think having lower gear fights is way more fun. And I don't mean lower gear fights as in like, oh, 224 bist out gear. I mean, I like the fact that like people are running what they have. Like you make the best kits that you can with the gear you have. I think that's really really fun, and I think that's such like an underrated thing in this game that you like very very rarely get to experience. Because like blues, for example, like good blues, they are almost bled out of the market literally, or they're almost bled out of like your gear sets literally in the first 8 hours. Because 8 hours in, you've already got purple's legendaries on because you went to hell, you looted some chests, you killed a boss, boom, I'm already in full legendaries. And that's like not even like an exaggeration, not even just like, oh yeah, like I'm a tryhard, this happens. It's like, no, that's literally just how it is. Because you go to hell, every single chest you open basically has purples, legendaries, and uniques in it. Especially like the lion's heads, or the lion's heads and the golden chests. They're like just filled with purples, legendaries, and uniques. Like even like random chests, like you can open just some like little like oak chests, and they have uniques in them. Whenever I was AP farming, this happened all the time. I would just open like literally the little random chest, and it's boom, here's unique leather trosses, and I'm like, cool, that's useless, but it's something. And I don't really know if I like that. I do think like making the gear more rare, like it has ups and downs. The obvious upside is because it's more rare, it's more fun and exciting when you find it. The obvious downside is then it's harder to get good gear, which is way more important for people who don't play as much. However, I will say this to a certain extent, and I know I'm gonna get like crucified for this if there's anybody even still listening to hear it, is I don't think you should like do things like that reward people for not playing as much. Like you should have mechanics that reward people for playing your game more, because then like your actual fan, like your player base and your fan base that likes the game feel like, oh yes, like like I'm rewarded, I played this game, like they did something that was actually good for me, right? Which usually doesn't actually happen nearly as much as you might think. Anyways, I'm like 29 minutes into this video and I've kind of been yapping. I'm probably still going to upload this just because I don't care. I have no idea what I'm going to title this. It's going to be really misleading about like solo self-found or whatever. But if you're still watching this point, I appreciate you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will be putting out definitely a more informational video shortly after this for self-found, I think, in terms of like, oh, you do this, like these will be like really good benefits to you, things like that. But With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace, peace.